Millions of tourists are vanishing from Asia's top destinations. Beaches once packed are now deserted. Hotels sit empty. And entire economies that once depended on international visitors are falling apart. But what happened? Why is Asia's tourism empire suddenly collapsing? From visa bans and travel warnings to political unrest and climate disasters, these 10 Asian countries are watching their tourism lifelines disappear. And the financial fallout? Absolutely devastating. Stick around to see which country tops the list, because number one isn't just losing money, it's on the brink of a total tourism meltdown. And before we get started, don't forget to subscribe, like, and hit the notification bell so you never miss out on more engaging content. Number 10. Indonesia. Indonesia, once hailed as a tropical paradise with its dreamy islands like Bali and Lombok, is now facing an alarming decline in tourism. According to a July 2025 report by the Asian Development Bank, Indonesia's tourism revenue has plummeted nearly 40% year over year. The reason? A deadly mix of over-tourism backlash, deteriorating infrastructure, and rising crime rates in tourist hotspots. International travelers are voicing serious concerns. Safety warnings have surged, especially after reports of violent incidents in Bali and poor emergency response in rural resort areas. Add to that a steep increase in airfare, and many would-be travelers are turning to alternative Southeast Asian destinations instead. Local businesses that once thrived on tourism dollars are closing their doors. Hotels are operating at less than 30% capacity. Souvenir markets, deserted. Even the famous Ubud rice terraces now echo with silence, a far cry from their usual buzz of visitors and yoga retreats. And here's the shocking part. The Indonesian government's attempts to pivot to digital nomads and long-stay visa schemes aren't working. In fact, many digital nomads are leaving due to unreliable internet, new visa complications, and safety fears. Number 9. Vietnam. Vietnam, once the poster child for Southeast Asia's post-COVID tourism recovery, is now eerily quiet. The lantern-lit streets of Hoi An, once overflowing with international travelers, have dimmed. Tour boat operators on Ha Long Bay report cancellations in droves, citing not only the global slowdown in travel, but rising concerns over overcrowding, poor infrastructure, and aggressive vendor behavior. It's a tourism dream rapidly turning into a nightmare. Visitor numbers have dropped by over 37% since early 2024, according to the Vietnam National Administration of Tourism. Many airlines have cut back routes to Hanoi and Ho Chi Minh City due to lower international demand, and local hospitality businesses are struggling to survive. Luxury resorts built for waves of Western tourists are now offering deep discounts just to attract local foot traffic. Part of the crisis stems from the government's mixed messaging. While one ministry promotes aggressive tourist targets, others clamp down on visa issuance and increase taxes on tourist services. Confusion has left both tourists and travel agencies frustrated, causing tour groups from Europe and North America to pull out entirely in some cases. On social media, viral videos have surfaced showing chaotic scenes in tourist hotspots, reinforcing negative perceptions abroad. Western travel influencers have begun advising followers to look elsewhere, pointing to inconsistent service quality, overcharging, and safety concerns. For a country that once branded itself as the affordable, exotic gem of Asia, this is a devastating blow. Vietnam had been hoping to reach 18 million tourists in 2025. Now, insiders say even hitting 11 million would be optimistic. The silence in the markets of Hanoi and the ghostly calm along the Mekong say it all. Vietnam's tourism miracle is unraveling before our eyes. Number 8. Bhutan. Bhutan was once seen as the last untouched paradise, a peaceful Himalayan kingdom with strict limits on mass tourism. But in 2025, that model is collapsing under its own weight. The country's new daily tourist tax, once justified as a means to preserve the environment and culture, has backfired spectacularly. Visitor numbers have plunged by more than 50% since the new policy took effect. Tour operators who once boasted 6-month waiting lists are now facing empty calendars. Even luxury travelers, who were once the main target for Bhutan's high-value tourism approach, are backing out. Many cite the tax, which can reach up to $200 per person per day, as exorbitant, especially when neighboring countries offer comparable natural beauty without the financial strain. To make matters worse, Bhutan has struggled to update its infrastructure. Flights into Paro International Airport remain limited, and high-end hotels have been slow to reopen post-pandemic. For visitors who do pay the steep price to enter, the experience is no longer seamless. Delays, cancellations, and lack of trained guides have led to a surge in negative reviews across major travel platforms. In an attempt to reverse the damage, Bhutan's government recently reduced the daily fee for some nationalities and shortened the required stay period. But critics argue it's too little, too late. Word has spread, and the tourists aren't coming back anytime soon. Bhutan's economy relies heavily on tourism revenue to support its ambitious sustainability goals. Without it, conservation programs and cultural preservation initiatives are now under threat. In trying to protect its identity, Bhutan may have priced itself out of relevance. Number 7. Maldives. The Maldives, once hailed as the crown jewel of Indian Ocean tourism, is now facing an unexpected and unsettling downturn. In 2025, the very beaches that used to attract celebrities, honeymooners, and deep-pocketed travelers from around the world are now eerily deserted. Resorts that once had months-long waiting lists now offer massive discounts just to fill a room. Tourism accounted for nearly 30% of the Maldives' GDP, making it one of the most tourism-dependent economies in Asia. But now, geopolitical tensions and regional travel advisories have discouraged tourists, especially from major markets like China and Europe. The ongoing climate debates and scrutiny over carbon footprints have also made some travelers rethink long-haul island vacations. Recent reports show international arrivals are down nearly 48% compared to pre-2023 levels. Airlines have cut back flights to Malé, and luxury cruise liners have canceled stops entirely. Local workers, who once thrived in the tourism boom, now face mass layoffs and dwindling job opportunities. The Maldivian government has rolled out incentives, visa-free entry expansions, and sustainability campaigns to attract eco-conscious travelers, but the turnaround has been slow. Critics argue these are band-aid solutions to a much deeper wound. Can the Maldives reinvent its paradise brand before the industry it depends on sinks beneath the waves? Drop your thoughts in the comments. Number 6. Nepal. Nepal, home to the majestic Himalayas and the gateway to Mount Everest, is watching its tourism lifeline slip through its fingers. In 2025, the trekking routes that once buzzed with international adventurers are now quiet. Tour operators have reported a 55% decline in bookings, especially from the West. One of the biggest blows came from a mix of climate-related issues and global instability. Unpredictable weather patterns have made trekking seasons shorter and more dangerous, while geopolitical instability in neighboring regions has spooked potential travelers. Earthquakes in the past still linger in people's minds, but now the fear is compounded by economic uncertainty and poor infrastructure recovery. Tourism is Nepal's largest source of foreign exchange and supports over 1 million jobs. With this massive decline, entire mountain communities are now struggling to survive. Guest houses in popular regions like Annapurna and Langtang are closing down, and local guides have shifted to other jobs or migrated abroad. Even Nepal's efforts to launch new heritage and wellness tourism campaigns haven't gained the traction officials had hoped. Limited marketing budgets and slow digital transformation have made it difficult to compete with countries investing heavily in modern tourism infrastructure. If Nepal can't find new strategies to revive its tourism industry, the economic consequences could be devastating, not just for cities, but for remote villages that relied on each season's flow of travelers. Before we dive into number 5, quick heads up. If you're hooked on stories like this, you'll love what I share on YouTube Peaks. From behind-the-scenes research to early topic drops, it's where the real deep dives happen. Links below. Come join the Inside Circle. Number 5. Pakistan. In 2025, Pakistan's tourism industry has been hit by a storm it wasn't prepared for. Once touted as an emerging destination with stunning mountain landscapes, vibrant cities, and a rich cultural heritage, Pakistan now faces a brutal tourism freeze. Travel advisories issued by multiple Western nations in response to political instability and security threats have left the sector gasping for air. What makes it worse is the perception of risk outweighs reality in many regions. Tour operators have reported a nearly 65% drop in international bookings since January, with popular destinations like Hunza and Skardu seeing hotel vacancy rates soar above 80%. Once bustling bazaars now stand eerily silent as foreign foot traffic dries up. In response, Pakistan's government launched the See Pakistan campaign in March 2025, offering subsidized tours and tax breaks for local travel startups. But experts argue that without global trust, these efforts barely scratch the surface. Airlines have already reduced flights into Islamabad and Lahore due to low demand. The economic toll is massive. According to the Pakistan Bureau of Statistics, the tourism sector saw a revenue drop of over $1.1 billion compared to last year. Many small business owners in the hospitality sector are shutting down or pivoting to survive. As other Asian nations begin to bounce back, Pakistan risks being left behind. It's not just about missed photo ops. It's about an entire ecosystem collapsing under the weight of fear, perception, and diplomatic isolation. Number 4. Sri Lanka. Sri Lanka was supposed to be in the middle of a comeback. After years of economic crisis, civil unrest, and a pandemic hangover, 2025 was billed as the year tourism would finally return. But that dream has turned to dust. Despite its new visa-free policy for 40 countries, including India and China, the results have been underwhelming. Data from Sri Lanka Tourism Development Authority shows international arrivals fell by 42% between January and July 2025. Travelers are citing poor infrastructure, political uncertainty, and safety concerns as major deterrents. Even major airlines like Emirates and Singapore Airlines have reduced their frequency to Colombo. Beaches in Galle are emptier than ever. Resorts in Bentota are offering record-low prices, and local guides in Sigiriya say they're getting a fraction of the bookings they saw, even during COVID recovery. The government's aggressive marketing blitz has failed to convince skeptical international audiences. More troubling is the economic backlash. Tourism once accounted for over 12% of Sri Lanka's GDP. In 2025, that number has dropped to just under 7%, with entire communities dependent on foreign visitors now in survival mode. Sri Lanka is a case study in how goodwill and policy incentives aren't enough without stability and global confidence. The country may have opened its arms, but the world isn't walking through the door. Number 3. India. India has long been a titan in the Asian tourism scene, attracting millions annually to its temples, palaces, and beaches. But in 2025, the unthinkable is happening. Tourist arrivals are plunging. Political unrest in Kashmir, combined with flash floods in Uttarakhand and heat waves sweeping the south, are scaring off international travelers. Once bustling cities like Jaipur and Varanasi are reporting occupancy rates as low as 35%, the worst in nearly 2 decades. The impact is catastrophic. According to the Asian Development Bank, India could lose over $18 billion in tourism-related revenue this year alone. Major festivals that once boosted regional economies are now facing cancellations or scaled-down celebrations. Tour operators are closing shop, and airlines are slashing domestic and international routes. Safety concerns are also growing louder. With protests flaring in northeastern states and foreign embassies quietly issuing travel advisories, many are asking, is India still safe for travel? The government has launched campaigns to rebuild the country's image, but for now it seems the damage has been done. The ripple effects are being felt far beyond hotels and airports. Street vendors, taxi drivers, and local artisans, the backbone of India's tourism sector, are watching their incomes evaporate. And with domestic tourism also in decline due to soaring costs, there are few lifelines left. India's tourism collapse is not just about economics. It's a warning signal about how quickly a global destination can fall from grace when safety, climate, and politics collide. Number 2. Cambodia. Cambodia's meteoric rise as a must-visit destination in Southeast Asia has come to a screeching halt. In 2025, the country is grappling with a 60% decline in foreign visitors compared to the previous year. The iconic Angkor Wat Temple complex, once swarming with tourists, is now eerily quiet. What happened? Ongoing border tensions with Thailand, mixed with local political instability, have created a perfect storm. Widespread reports of scams targeting tourists and poor infrastructure have only added to the hesitancy of travelers. Tour operators are pulling out, and airlines are cutting routes to Phnom Penh and Siem Reap. In a desperate move, the Cambodian government slashed visa fees and launched aggressive marketing campaigns. But it may be too little, too late. Travel influencers and bloggers have shifted their attention to safer, more stable destinations in the region. The economic consequences are brutal. The tourism sector, which once accounted for nearly 20% of Cambodia's GDP, is now in crisis. Hotels are laying off staff, restaurants are closing doors, and the famed night markets are fading into memory. Cambodia's dream of becoming a tourism powerhouse may still be salvageable, but only if it addresses the core issues driving visitors away. Until then, the nation's empty temples and quiet streets tell a stark story of decline. Number 1. Thailand. Thailand, once the undisputed giant of Asian tourism, is now gasping for breath. For years, Bangkok's bustling streets, Phuket's sun-drenched beaches, and Chiang Mai's cultural charm drew millions. but 2025 has been brutal. With visitor numbers down by over 60%, Thailand is experiencing one of the steepest declines in its modern tourism history. The root causes are stacking up fast. Ongoing safety concerns, particularly in border regions like the Cambodia frontier, have shaken traveler confidence. Reports of gunfire and territorial tensions have pushed many tour operators to suspend bookings altogether. Add to that a rise in violent incidents in key tourist zones, and the ripple effect is obvious. Bookings are vanishing, and with them, billions in revenue. Hotels that once boasted 90% occupancy are now operating at 25%. Small businesses that depended on the steady stream of tourists, from massage parlors to local eateries, are shutting down in droves. Even luxury resorts are offering desperate discounts, slashing rates by over 50% just to stay afloat. Thailand's government is scrambling to revive the sector. Emergency funds have been allocated, marketing campaigns launched, and visa rules loosened. But the global perception has shifted. Tourists, especially from Europe and North America, now view Thailand as unpredictable, and in a competitive region, perception is everything. If the country doesn't stabilize both its image and its borders, Thailand could lose its crown as Southeast Asia's go-to destination. And with over 20% of its GDP tied to tourism, the fallout could reshape the nation's entire economy. This isn't a travel slump. It's a reckoning. From Indonesia to Thailand, Asia's most celebrated destinations are watching their lifelines dry up. War scares, border disputes, collapsing infrastructure, and fragile economies are combining into the perfect storm. And for countries that built their futures on tourism, the fallout is already in motion. These nations are emptying out, not just of tourists, but of opportunities, income, and hope. For locals, it means shuttered stores and lost livelihoods. For the global traveler, it means fewer safe, reliable places to go. So we want to hear from you. Were you planning a trip to Asia in 2025? Has the crisis changed your mind? Drop your thoughts in the comments. Don't forget to subscribe for more eye-opening stories from around the world. This is Globe Discoveries, where the world changes, one headline at a time.